Hey everyone, today I am here with Ann. And many of you would know Ann. Ann has been on staff here at North Park Fanshawe for 21 and a half years. Yes, I did say it. She started off leading in the small group ministry and then over time transitioned into the welcome role here at North Park, which is a pretty important role here at the church. And so we're so thankful for what Ann has brought to us in those departments over the years. But today I'm here because Ann has chosen to retire from her staff role here at North Park at the end of November. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to sit with Ann to kind of get some of her thinking around what that means for her. And so thankfully, her and Grant, her husband, they're going to stay here and worship with us after November 30th. This is their home church. They're invested in this place and they're going to stay here with us, which we're so thankful for. So Ann, as you think about your time here, give us one of your favorite memories as you think about this place.
Okay. And one of the reasons, Shane, that this is our home church is because Grant and I have been here for over 30 years. And I came when I was in my second year at Western. I came from a small town, Kingsville, Leamington area. And North Park was worshiping at that time down on Glenora Street, a smaller building.
Yep.
And it reflected very similarly to the kind of church that I grew up in and was very involved in. So as a student, I'm looking for a place where I can worship. No websites at that point, no technology at that point, people. You gotta come to the church to find out what's going on. So came to the first service, 1986. Don't tell me what you were doing at that time. It would be embarrassing for both of us. So came to the first service, really enjoyed the teaching, found out that they had a Sunday evening service, which was, again, very similar to my home church. Also found out that they had a youth group, and the youth group needed help. And the youth met Sundays after the Sunday evening service in a home. So the following week was one of those Sunday evening services. I came for it, where they had, I think they still had teaching, but they opened up part of this service for us as a community to share with each other what were we learning from God? What were we hearing from Him in our quiet times? And again, this was very similar to what we did in my home church on Sunday evening. So I felt very comfortable. At the time, I was reading in Revelations, and not about the end times, that's in there, but more about Jesus' call to remember our first love for Him. So I remember that was what I shared that evening. And after the service, a couple of older gentlemen came up, introduced themselves to me. I felt like it was such a warm community. I then, the next Sunday was the night that the youth were meeting.
Right.
So after the service, I went to the home where the youth were meeting, and it's my first time meeting the youth. And so the leader at the time introduced me to the youth and introduced me as, who I was. And immediately, one of the young guys one of the youth piped up, and he said, "Are you that girl?" I'm like, "What girl?" And he's like, "Well, that girl that talked in the service last Sunday night." And I said, "Oh, yeah, that might be me." And he said, "Oh my goodness, my mom and dad came home from that service and they've been talking about it all week. This girl who talked in the service Sunday night." And I'm completely red. I have no idea what I've done wrong. And the youth leader at that time said, "You must not have gotten the memo that women don't speak in the service on Sunday evenings."
That was way back then. That's not today, just to clarify.
Oh yeah, changed times. But the reason I bring that up, Shane, is because that was a big blunderous introduction to the church for them to meet me that way. And yet 13 years later, fast forward to 1999, and North Park entrusts me with their small group ministry.
Yeah.
They hire me on staff and they say, "We trust you with our small group ministry."
Beautiful.
And then that starts, 21 and a half years of input into my life that has grown me personally, grown my faith in God, grown my leadership. And I'm just so thankful when I reflect back on how I started to now how I'm ending, that this is a community of such grace and a place where someone can be themselves, still be loved, and still be given opportunities.
And that was an unbelievable story about the core value of grace exhibited right from the beginning of North Park that you were privileged to kind of be a part of and to model right through. So thank you for that amazing story. So as you now think about one chapter kind of closing, like your staff your staff piece here at the church, kind of closing in that chapter and opening up into a new one. And as you think about us here at North Park, how are you going to be praying for us? What are you going to be praying for North Park in these days?
My prayer, Shane, for North Park comes out of Micah 6:8, where the people of God are asking him, what do you want from us? When we come to worship you, what are you looking for from us? What's your desire? And the response is, act justly, love mercy, and then walk humbly with me. And if I wanted to really narrow down my specific prayer for North Park, it would be that we as a community would learn how to walk humbly with God, us as individuals and our leadership. I think when we take on a position of humility, it opens our ears and our eyes better to what God wants for us. It opens our eyes and ears to hear where he wants us to go. And that would be the end result of what my desire for the church would be, is that we would be a church that God can easily direct. God can easily move amongst us because we all engage in a position of humility. Now, I say that, and I'll be the first to say that pride is something I have to fight. And I remember Richard Getzey, early in the years when he was here, did a sermon on pride and humility. And I remember him saying, as soon as you think you've got a handle on humility, you have to check yourself because now you've become proud of your humility. And Richard always had a fun way of playing with those kinds of things. But it really stuck with me. And it's a reminder that if we really want to be a community that's following after God, seeking his will, looking for his guidance for us and what he wants us to do here in London, here amongst ourselves and in the world, we have to be able to hear him. We have to be able to be sensitive to him. And I think that starts with a humble position.
What a powerful way to pray, praying that God would just give us that humility that clearly we all need. And so, Anne, thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for sharing yourself with North Park. And thank you for, you've been here through lots of twists and turns, and you're here, and we're still in another twist and turn.
Yeah.
And God has just given you this amazing sense of energy as you're just pivoting into a brand new chapter of what God is doing in your life. So thank you for what you've given this church. Thank you for how you've blessed us. And I trust as you think of us, as we continue to lead, that you would just continue to pray that humility you mentioned will be ours as we kind of continue to lead forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you so much on behalf of all North Park sites for what you've brought to us during these years. So for those of you today, just be encouraged. God is still doing great work. Yeah. And just pray that for your own life, that God will just give you that unique place to serve in the kingdom, and that you'll just stick with it through all the twists and the turns, and at the end of the day, God will give you that humility that we're all kind of really praying for as leaders. So, Anne, God bless you. This has been a deep, deep privilege.
High five, friend.
High five.